Hey everybody, Chuck here again. Going to move on to the next topic here in our preparation for the CTSC exam here. And just as a quick review, I know it's the disclaimer up, at the beginning all the time, but at the same time, I want to use it as a moment to challenge you too. I'm doing this myself, not just to share what I'm learning with you, because I know I'm going through preparation, you're going through the preparation exams also, but it's a way to help me see if I understand a bit what I'm learning and can I talk through it in a way that's rational to other people so that it helps you too, certainly. But at the same time, it seems to be a way that's helping me learn the material. So what I wanted to reinforce is the idea that, our ultimate challenge, you and I, in taking these exams is many of us are moving into areas we're not as familiar with. So we're having to learn anew, something that we haven't run into before. And that's a little scarier and makes us a little more uneasy because it's not as simple as we all know safety stocks or lot sizes or things like that. So I hope you will use these videos that while they're an opinion piece, you'll think about it, you'll tie it in with what you read and think about, and you'll agree with some, you'll disagree with others, you'll have some ahas, you'll probably find something I even say wrong, which is totally probably going to happen. And so I hope you will communicate that back to me in comments if you disagree with something or additional comments that you want to make. So I'm hoping this is a learning opportunity for both myself and you. Love to learn from you as well. So this is an opinion piece. We're not using any Apex material on the screen, but commenting on what we're learning here. So in this topic, we're talking about the value proposition of an organization and being able to understand what that means and what is it for that matter too. So definitionally, what I saw that I liked within the material that I was reading was the idea of, we called it the competitive value, but it's really those activities that you and I are performing that we've identified based on the different customer segments we're trying to reach. It's those activities and resources and tasks we perform that the customer says, yes, I find value in those. I'm willing to pay for those. It has value to me, and I'm willing to pay you probably, no, not probably, but should be more than what it costs you and I to perform those tasks and everything here. So, they make a comment in here. I'll just read it here. This is what we're trying to accomplish here. It's like a mission statement for how the organization will fulfill customer segment expectations. Needs to solve the customer's supply problems so that the total package of resources, process, practices, and price is effective, simple, and affordable. So it's got to be something that they're willing to pay for. Otherwise, it's not of value to us and that stuff. And it's entirely possible each different segment we have is going to have its own value proposition, which means we may or may not have to create our own supply chain for that segment to make it successful at the same time. And like anything else, we really push the idea of measurements and KPIs. And so each value proposition should have KPIs to see if we're accomplishing successful what the customer wants and are we making money at it. What I found interesting also, and I'm going to jump over and share my screen and bring in the whiteboard for a moment here. I wrote down these 6 things here because in the section, it talks about all 6 of these within the value proposition area, and it explains them a bit and what are some of the things we should do. But I do want to remind us all that what we're doing here is we're bringing in these other elements of the supply chain in addition to ourselves, like our suppliers. Intermediaries might be like the transportation companies, the elements of our network. They are part of adding value too. So I want to kind of run through these and share with you the comments the participant guide makes and have us think about that. So one of the to-dos that the participant guide has is it says, take the time to understand supplier expectations, their models and help make any savings less fleeting. Start by segmenting suppliers based on their capabilities and engagement, assistance, collaboration, performance, etc. What we're talking about there, you could argue, is look, if you and I are going to find value long term, then we better understand from our suppliers what they want to get out of this whole thing and help them succeed. And then when they succeed, they can pass on cost reductions to us, as well as be more efficient, effective, and lower cost themselves, help out both of us. So it's more than just kind of pounding on the supplier negotiating wise to get a lower cost. But let's take everything we're learning in supply chain within the four walls of our own business and work with suppliers at the same time, because they're doing the same thing as you and I as well. And so why not help them to improve? It's going to make us better as well. Very similar to me with what we learned in quality with ISO 9000. We're only as good as what our suppliers do, and it applies here as well. Okay. Segmenting suppliers. Not every supplier is an expert in everything. I think back when I was doing supply chain and automotive restoration parts, something as simple as a hood for a vehicle that a person wanted to restore a car on, I was asking questions on, well, what are you looking for? And the customer would say, I'm looking for a hood for, a TR6 or whatever the vehicle was. And it was like, yeah, nope, I understand that. But are you looking for something as close to OEM as possible? Are you more worried about price? Are you interested in longevity of the hood so it doesn't rust? What's important to you? And then the customer, the light bulbs went off. It's like, oh, okay, I see what you're talking about. And once they shared that, I knew which provider to go to. So we would, I segmented my suppliers, and we should consider doing the same thing, because certain suppliers can do certain things good. We want them to be part of the correct supply chain that goes with it. On the service provider side, what we're looking at there is like intermediates, they're providing maybe not direct, but indirect services at the same time too. So they're going to have a value proposition for working with us. And it's important to judge them and put performance incentives out there and work with them identical to suppliers. It might not be as direct as labor and material and those direct materials, but they're equally important. They're certainly farther down the income statement in the general and administrative areas. But the person who is providing fasteners, the person who's taking care of our physical plant, if they're not doing their work well, it's going to impact us. Therefore, we need to work with those folks and understand what their needs are, like suppliers, and do the same out there. Okay. So we want to judge them the same way that we judge ourselves. So not only what they provide to us, but also how they operate with us too. So let me read the comment here. It's important to judge them and provide performance incentives to them based on what you value in them. So no similar, you'll find all of these tend to connect together with the four. Intermediaries got the same thing too. This could be a warehouse that's providing warehouse space to us, could be a transportation company, could be a third-party logistics. They work between, could be a consolidation warehouse. Any of these, they act as intermediaries between us and suppliers, us and distribution centers, or customers, customs, shipping, whatever. Same thing as suppliers. The only difference is they're outside the four walls of our business. But if we're going to get synchronization and visibility across supply chains and transform our supply chains to where we need to be, we need to work with all these parties equally here. On the customer side, so let's drop down to these last two here. Customers have value propositions too. Customers need to be segmented. The comment in the book that was good was important to judge them and provide incentives to them based on what they value in you. So customers could be geographic, customers can be grouped by type of product, price point, could be all sorts of different things. We need to understand that because we need to put supply chains together that meet those needs, and they're done in a way that they're efficient, effective for us and the customers, and again, meets their needs to the point that they're willing to pay for that. The supply chain network side got a couple bullets there, and I got to tell you, I understand the concept of supply chain network. I'm not an expert at it, but I understand the idea that our supply chain is made up of warehouses and logistics and factories, and what inventory do we put in those locations and how we move things. They make up the whole system of our supply chain. How we build those and optimize is a whole nother important skill set. Fortunately, we don't have to get that crazy deep at this point. But let me read some of the comments in here. It's vital to understand the current state of your network and nodes. And your nodes are suppliers, warehouses, facilities, and various echelons of customers. Echelons meaning layers of customers. So we may ship to a distributor as a customer, who may ship to a customer's warehouse, which then ships to the store. And so those are three different layers or echelons out there. Okay. It's important to understand how the nodes are interconnected, where the decoupling points are. So where we're going to put inventory so we can respond to customers quicker. We're going to need information system technologies. It gets back to that comment. We're trying to synchronize our supply chains. So to do that, we want to have visibility across the supply chain. And to have visibility across supply chain, we're going to need technologies where our ERP system talks to our suppliers' ERP systems. And there's event management software that triggers, hey, this happened. So we can tell things, what's going on in that stuff. What that interconnectivity gives us also, if you think about it, it's going to help us figure out what data is making a difference and which one's not. If I send information to you and you go, yep, whatever, throw it away, doesn't help you in any way, it's not doing you any good. But if you're going, dang, I got this information, this helps me go out to my factory floor and be able to fine tune my production runs, and I can ship on time, that's valuable information. So we're looking for those data types that are adding real value out there when we get into that conversation. And it's more than just noise in the system and it's confusing things. It's going to allow us to have resources be better used in the process. So these are all areas that, as we build this whole, what we would refer to as the value proposition, everybody's got the opportunity to add value. And so we, as the supply chain, really need to take on the idea of working with all these elements and finding ways to improve the process, not just dump it on people, but take what you and I learn in supply chain for how we plan priorities or plan capacities, or how we execute on those priorities, or how we execute on capacities, any of those things. Our suppliers are doing the same thing. Our customers do the same thing, although the context and product might be a little bit different. So our supply chain principles are universal. And if they're universal, we can help affect permanent positive change in both sides of the supply chain, in addition to our own. And that's going to benefit all of us when all's said and done. So it's important to make sure that we're taking that next step in diving in deeper, working with all the players in the supply chain.